everyone. So today I thought of doing a bit of a makeup tutorial. As some of you may already know, we lived in an island for about 7 or 8 months, and so during that time I barely wore any kind of makeup. So I've never been as comfortable in my own skin until that time came. But of course, we're no longer at the beach. We are in the city and in specifically the Woodlands in Texas, and so it's different not wearing makeup at the beach and then not wearing makeup to go to an occasion in the city. If you're like me who don't really like to put on a lot of makeup every day, here is one quick tip on how to just put on makeup so you just look decent but not too made up. So I'm just gonna use really very simple items. For example, a concealer. Right now this one I'm using is by Maybelline, so it's not really the expensive kind of makeup, so something that's going to be affordable for everyone. I use, well, this is from the Philippines. I don't know if we have this brand here in the US, but it's left over from what I brought to America, and it's Nichido. And it's basically an eyeliner in a brush form. I like it because it kind of stays put and is pretty much waterproof. I use a mascara, and this one is called Better Than Sex. And it is kind of good because you don't need a curler for this. And I use Intuit's eyeshadow makeup, which actually can double as a bronzer as well. That way you have less items to worry about. So really, I just use pretty much these items. And of course, I've got my trusty brush set that I have left over from when I was a news anchor, and I thought it would be handy to kind of just keep it. So I'll just start off with light makeup, and that's pretty much just the concealer, and I don't actually put it throughout my entire face, only on areas where I feel like I need some coverage. So it's almost as if I'm just putting on a very light foundation. And once again, this kind of makeup routine takes less than 10 minutes. So if you're like me and you don't have the time or don't have the energy to spend 30 minutes putting on your makeup, well, this is one way to do it. Although I do like the occasional time that I get to spend putting on makeup for special occasions. That's a rare treat. I wouldn't want to spend 30 minutes to an hour putting on makeup though. I mean, that's just a lot of time. Plus, I'll tick off my husband having him wait for me all the time. So I'm using the eyeshadow set as a bronzer. As you can see, I'm just brushing it through. And then I'm just following my jawline. You can do this to your face so that you can see where your jawline's at. So right now, if I do that, that's basically where my jawline's at. Do that on the other side. And then after you've done both sides, you simply go on ahead and follow the sides of your forehead. So that would be like this side and then this side over here. Basically what you want to do is you want to have your forehead and the front part of your face pop up and create a shadow onto the side. This gives that more oblong shape of a face, which I think is the most sought after. Why? I don't know, but that's what people say. You should have more of an oblong face, maybe because if you have too much of a round face, it kind of makes you look a bit heavier. So it's to slim down the face, at least, a technique. There you go. Now, normally, I don't usually do the whole, nose contouring thing, but just to do it for you who may want to do it, simply follow your eyebrow and just do this. But leave a little bit of a line right there where your nostrils kind of flare out. So do the same thing. There you go. Some of you might need a lot more. Same thing that I'm using for the makeup. What I've noticed as well is that when I was working with CNN Philippines, is that makeup artists usually wet their makeup or they dip the brush in a bit of water. And I found that sometimes to be useful and sometimes to not be useful. So if you'd like to try that, you can go on ahead and do that. I'm going to do that. For example, I'm going to use this. It's water from Jack in a Box, which is old water from yesterday. So I'm dipping a little bit of the tip of the brush onto there and then wetting the same palette that I've been using as a bronzer to kind of just, you know, fill in my brows. I did have my eyebrows tattooed, but I feel like sometimes if I'm gonna put on some makeup, it's nice to kind of just define it a little bit. So not too much, just a little bit. So a little bit on the side. There you go. And then now we do the makeup per se. So what I do is the same palette. I use this lighter brown one. So the lighter brown, I just fill my entire lid. Once again, we're trying to aim for a natural look, a look that makes you look presentable but not too made up. Doing it on the other side. As you can see, I'm like just really dabbing it in there. And this can actually go much quicker if I wasn't explaining and talking at the same time. Like normally when I put on my makeup, I just go and it's done. So as you can see, it just gives a little bit of color. Okay, so that's using this brush. And then the next is going back to the brush that I use for my eyebrows. Dabbing a little bit of that in water. And then using the third color, which is the darker brown. And just kind of brushing it on the side. Same thing. Now it's okay if it doesn't come out as even as you would like it to be. That's why you do it one step at a time. You know, I like to think that putting on makeup is kind of like drawing, where it doesn't come out perfect initially, but then you kind of do your, you know, your remedies here and there. You add a color here and there, a brush stroke here and there, and then it basically just blends it. So as you can see, this is a bit darker than this one, so I just need to kind of fix it. So I'm just gonna go on ahead and do that. As you can see, I'm just following like the outside for the darker shade and just kind of blending it in. So there's the eyes. Okay, and to make it stand out a little bit more, I'm then using the darker shade. So that's this one. Again, with a wet brush, I go and just use it like an eyeliner. So it's the same thing on the other side. There you go. Okay. And doing the same thing with the bottom part. All Oh. Okay. So right now it just gives it that like slight color in the eyes, right? A shadow. Once again, we're not trying to look too made up. We just want to look presentable. So now is the time to do the eyeliner. And you really just want to do this from the middle of your eyeball all the way to the side if you want a wingtip sort of look. So I've never done this before looking in front of a camera on the computer. It's kind of weird, but I'm going to try. Yeah, this is weird. I think I'm gonna need a mirror. Hold on. There you go. I think I got a mirror right there. So we're gonna do this. And it may take a while to kind of get the stroke right, but you know, it's just practice, kind of like with drawing. If you've never drawn a tree before and you start trying to draw a tree, it's a bit tricky, but if you keep practicing, then it becomes easier. Same thing with making sure that it's perpendicular, or you know, that it is symmetrical to each other. Obviously you don't want one eyeliner up here and then the other side down there, because then that'll give you asymmetry, which is the opposite of what beauty is supposed to be. A beautiful face is supposed to be perfectly symmetrical, you know, kind of like Natalie Portman's face, for example, or Tom Cruise for men. So there you go. Is it symmetrical? It looks symmetrical enough. So as you can see, adding a bit of the wingtip on the side already gives my eye a little bit more definition, but it doesn't look too made up. And so now I'm adding the mascara. Once again, I don't even use a curler because I've had a bad experience of using an eyelash curler where I curled my eyelashes, and after squeezing for a few seconds, when I unsqueezed, I noticed that my eyelashes had been cut and it was stuck onto the curler. So I literally cut off my eyelashes. So I've been traumatized by that ever since. So we're just trying to do the eyelash now. So all I do is basically just, you know, try to apply it. Not too thick, not too thin. There you go. And you know that you're getting too thick when it starts clumping up. So right before it starts clumping up, just stop. And you can always go back to it after anyhow. So there. This one's got curl, like mascara. This one doesn't. So it doesn't really show much because I don't have much of eyelashes. Other girls are really lucky with really thick eyelashes, but as for me, when I was working as a news anchor, I had to wear those falsies every time I went on camera just to pop my eyes open wide. Long, thick eyelashes really open up the eyes, and that's why, for example, Indians have really expressive eyes because they usually have thick eyebrows and thick eyelashes above and below their eyes, and so it kind of makes their eyes pop up, which I love about my Indian friends. So there you go. It's very, very, you know, it's a very, very subtle look to it. So now we're gonna work on the blush. And for the blush on, I mean, you can just use pretty much whatever blush you've got, but I have here a set that also is a souvenir from when I was a news anchor. It's a MAC 3 plate. Is that what you would call it? I rarely use this because it's very 80s, but I use this a lot, and this is pretty much the bronzer blush on portion of this makeup kit. So I usually just jump from using any one of these depending on what color lipstick I want. So since I want a natural look, I can just stick with a little bit of a pinkish sort of glow. So I'm gonna stick with these these three, actually. I'm going to combine it. So just brushing it there and just applying some along my cheekbone, or the apples of my cheeks, rather, just to give it a bit of a glow. There. So, you know, it's a very, very slight difference that you see, but once again, if you saw me earlier, right, it already makes up for it. So the trick here is not to look too made up, because it's for an everyday sort of look. The trick is just to look presentable. So just keep dabbing that on until you feel like you've had enough. You can put a little bit on your chin and on your nose for that pinkish glow. And I think we're done with that. And I'm very, very bad with lipstick, but if you need to put some lipstick on, I can suggest, you know, it basically is all about what dress you're going to be wearing. So I'm always in my gym clothes, so I don't usually wear lipstick, because then it would be really weird if I wore red lipstick with workout clothes. So pretty much this is what I already do. Sometimes I put some lip gloss on, but this is already the natural makeup look, I think, that I have. And without talking, once again, this usually takes me between 5 to 10 minutes to do, so that I can be ready in a jiffy as soon as it's time to head somewhere. So hopefully this helps. And in my next video, I'll show you how to curl your hair, because that's also one of the things I really like to do. But that's for another video. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. In the meantime, if you have comments, suggestions, or questions, or things that you'd like to ask from me, please feel free to comment below, and please do subscribe to my channel. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and till later, bye!